All right, let's talk tennis. It's an incredible sport, right? So fast, so athletic. But let's be real, the rules can feel a little strange. But don't you worry, we are going to clear all that up today.
You knew the feeling. You're watching two athletes battling it out. The announcer yells advantage, receiver, and you're just sitting there, nodding along, trying to act like you know exactly what's going on. We've all been there. But by the end of this, you'll be following along like a seasoned pro.
Okay, so to really get the game as it is today, we've got to go back. Way back, actually. The history of tennis is probably a lot longer and, frankly, a lot weirder than you might think.
So get this, the whole thing started in 12th century France. It was called jeu de paume, which literally means game of the palm. Yep, people were just hitting a ball with their hands. It wasn't until the mid-1800s in England that things started to look familiar. The game moved onto lawns, people started using rackets. Then a major named Walter Clopton Wingfield patented what he called lawn tennis. And just 4 years after that, boom, the first Wimbledon was held, and many of the rules we see today began to take shape.
Okay, history lesson over. Let's get to the basics. When you see players out there on the court, what are they actually trying to do?
At its heart, the objective couldn't be simpler. You hit the ball over the net and into the court. If your opponent can't hit it back legally before it bounces a second time, you win the point. That's it. All the incredible athleticism and strategy you see, it all boils down to that one simple goal. And this is the stage where it all happens. The court is a perfect rectangle. For singles, that's one-on-one. They use the inner sidelines. When you see 4 people out there for doubles, the court gets a little wider, using those strips on the side called the alleys. And see those 2 small boxes near the net? Those are the service boxes. They're absolutely critical, and we'll see why in just a minute.
All right, deep breath. Here it is, the part that confuses just about everyone. Why is 0 called love? Why do the points go 15, 30, 40? Well, no one's 100% sure, but the best guess is that it came from an old clock face, points at 15, 30, and 45 minutes. And love? That might come from the French word for egg, love, because, an egg looks like a 0. Let's just dive in and make sense of it.
So it's all about getting to 4 points. The first point you win isn't 1, it's 15. The second is 30. The third is 40. They probably shortened it from 45 over the years just because it's easier to say. If you win a 4th point and you're ahead by at least 2 points, you've won the game. Forget 1, 2, 3. Just think 15, 30, 40, game. That's the rhythm.
But what if both players get stuck at 3 points each? A score of 40-40. That's when you'll hear the umpire call out deuce. This is where it gets really tense. Because from here, you can't just win 1 more point to finish the game. You have to win 2 points in a row. And here's how that works. If the server wins the point at deuce, the score becomes advantage in or add in. They're just 1 point away. If they win the next point, the game's over. But if they lose it, the score snaps right back to deuce. Same goes for the receiver. If they win the point at deuce, it's advantage out or add out. It's this fantastic, nail-biting tug of war until someone can finally clinch 2 points in a row. And this is a really key concept. The server has a built-in advantage because they get to start the point on their terms. In pro tennis, players are expected to win the games they serve. So, when the receiver actually manages to win the game, that's called breaking serve, and it is a huge moment that can completely swing the momentum of a match. Okay, we've got the scoring down, so let's get to the action. How do players actually win these points? Well, it all comes down to their arsenal of shots. A top player has a whole bag of tricks, from delicate little drop shots right at the net to powerful overhead smashes. But to really understand the flow of a match, let's just focus on the 3 big ones you'll see on almost every single point. Everything begins with the serve. It is the only shot in tennis that a player has complete and total control over. And at the pro level, it's a massive weapon. A perfect serve that the opponent can't even touch? That's called an ace. It's the ultimate way to start a point. Then you have the forehand. For most players, this is their bread and butter. It's the shot you hit on your dominant side. So if you're right-handed, it's on your right. This is usually their most powerful shot from the back of the court, and the one they use to control the rally.
And on the other side, of course, is the backhand. This is hit on your non-dominant side, and it comes with a cool strategic choice. Some players use one hand, which gives them more reach and makes it easier to slice the ball. Others use 2 hands, which generally gives more power and stability. Watching the different styles is one of the great joys of the game.
So we have the points, and we have the shots that win those points.
Now let's zoom out and see how all these little pieces come together. How does one point eventually lead to somebody hoisting a giant trophy? Think of it like a pyramid. It all starts at the bottom. You win individual points, which lets you win a game. Then you have to win at least 6 games by a margin of 2 to win a set. And finally, you collect the required number of sets and you've won the match. It's a ladder of achievement built 1 point at a time. Most pro matches are a best-of-3 sets format. It's basically a sprint. First to 2 sets wins. But at the 4 biggest tournaments, the Grand Slams, the men play a grueling best-of-5 match. That is a true marathon, a test of physical and mental endurance as much as skill. And speaking of the Grand Slams, now that we know how a match is won, let's talk about the tournaments where winning matters most. This is the absolute pinnacle of the sport. There are 4 of them, and each one has its own unique personality, defined by its playing surface. The year kicks off on the hard courts in Australia. Then it shifts to the slow, high-bouncing red clay in Paris. After that, it's the fast, slick grass of Wimbledon in London, and it all wraps up on the hard courts in New York. The ability to master all these different conditions is what separates the great players from the legends. And what does ultimate success on that stage look like? Well, this number says it all. 24. That is the current all-time men's record for Grand Slam singles titles. It belongs to Novak Djokovic. It's just a staggering number that represents years and years of consistent dominance. You know, a big reason records like that are even possible is because of a change made in 1968. That's when the Open era began. Before that, professional players weren't allowed to compete in the major tournaments. This change opened the floodgates, allowing the best in the world to compete against each other. And it turned tennis into the global powerhouse that we all know today. So, there you have it. You've gone from wondering why zero is called love to understanding the Grand Slams. Now you have the tools to watch a match and not just see people hitting a ball, but to actually see the strategy, the drama, and the history unfold. Which leaves us with the biggest debate in tennis. But now you're equipped to decide for yourself. Who is the greatest of all time?